Live. It's Wednesday morning and it is dark outside my bedroom window. Hmm, strange. Normally there's some light in the sky, but let's wait and see what the day brings. Self love. You know, when people say, you just gotta love yourself first. I think I have spoken about this before, but it is worth a second mention. When you hear you have to love yourself some more, do you know how to actually apply self love? It's not like it's a lotion or it's a perfume. When you hear self love, what is it? Self love. When you say to yourself who you want to be, right? If you say, I'm confident or I am bold or I'm sure of myself, when you say those things, they have an accompanying behavior. When someone is bold or confident, their actions would be the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they interact with people. Their heads are up, their eyes are straight. They're not cowering. You know what I mean? Because when you say, oh my God, she's so confident, you're not just saying she's confident because you're bored. You're saying she's confident because you see confidence. And how do you see it? Because she's doing something. So to apply self-love is to act the way you say that you are. To behave in the way that you say you are, deliberately, is self-love. Well, what is the evidence of love? According to Scripture, love is patient, love is kind, does not seek its own, is not puffed up, is not rude, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It's telling you what love does. It's telling you what it does. It is patient. It is kind. It does not seek its own. It's not easily provoked. That's what it's saying. So whether or not you believe Scripture is not really relevant at this point. The point to grasp is this. It says that love is this. So love is something that one does. It also describes the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. Those are all behaviors. So self-love is a behavior. Well, if love is patient and love is kind, it's not puffed up, it's not rude, it does not seek its own. What are you doing? Because some people think self-love has to do with mani-pedi. You get your hair done, you smell nice, Listen, you could do all of those things and still be impatient with yourself. You can do all those things and still be speaking unkind words to yourself. Think about that for a moment. And sometimes it can be agitating when you're going through something to hear, you just need to love yourself. Sometimes that can cause more agitation than assistance, right? Because here you are going through it, and you keep hearing, love yourself, but nobody tells you what love is. It is kindness. Love is action. Why action? Well, every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. When we say the word love, we don't just say the word love with our lips. We feel the word love in our bodies. Ponder that. If I say to you, I just love you. However you feel about love is how you will interpret what I said. If your attitude towards love is that, well, you can't really trust these folks out here. Oh, love is really conditional. Because you stop doing something and people stop loving you. If that is how you interpret love based upon what you have experienced in the past, when someone says, I love you, you scoff and you say, ugh, whatever. Whatever. But if someone comes along and they hear you, they listen to you, they hold you and they don't have the words to say because they don't know how to respond, but they just hold you. Perhaps you're ill and they bought you a lovely bowl of soup that they made. Maybe they don't say much, but they ask, how are you feeling? You see, depending upon how you see love, depending upon how you interpret love, is how you will behave. And it is the behavior, the external that we can see, that shows us how we are applying self-love. If you get up in the morning and you are frustrated at the fact that you're alone, nobody wants you, nobody cares about you, nobody checks in on you, and you keep saying that to yourself, how do you go through the day? Feeling unworthy, unwanted, unloved. Because the actions that you see don't match what you think love is, or perhaps it does match. There's an element of trust with love. That's why I keep saying to you, if you could not speak, how would you know that someone loved you? By the way they treat you. So self-love is applied by the way you speak to yourself, by the way you feel about yourself, the way you treat yourself. We're out here in these streets wanting people to adore us, appreciate us. Yet, we say the most horrific things to ourselves, forgetting that the principle of correspondence exists. As within, so without. If you treat yourself with impatience because you have not quite accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, because, oh my God, I'm so old now. I'm like 50 and I still haven't done anything. And look at Betty. Look at Luann. They're all booed up and they got 2.3 kids, a parakeet, a dog, and a cat, and a boat in the marina. And I'm still working 9 to 5. See that? The way you just spoke to yourself right there? Because you are comparing yourself to another. When you compare yourself to another, it blinds you to what you are. And when you cannot see yourself, you don't know which way is forward. Because you can't see yourself. You must always see the self. The self is the light that shines out into the world. The self. How do you speak to yourself? You walk around with an attitude of desperation because you're so busy comparing yourself, wanting to be like others. That is not self-love. That is self-depreciation. You're saying to yourself, ugh, look at you. You've done nothing with your life. Look at you. You think somebody's gonna want you? You're old. And heaven forbid if you're a man. Now that's a whole nother ball game, the way men speak to themselves. Because all they hear every day is, be a man. Provide. Take care of somebody else. That's what they hear all day long. Oh, you're not 6 feet tall? Sucker. You're doomed for a lousy existence. So now they walk through the world with the attitude of, oh my God, I'm not good enough. Well, I don't make 6 figures. I'm not even 6 feet. Who's going to want me? And now there's a level of resentment they have towards not only themselves for not being what society says they should be, but towards other people because other people do not see the real them. And we expect that man to love us. But he speaks to himself in such a paltry fashion. Self-love begins with the acceptance of what one is. Self-love begins with the acceptance of what one is, not one who is relying upon what the world says they should be. I know that is challenging. Oh, heck yes, I know. Because every time you turn around, society has an opinion of what a woman should be, and society has an opinion of what a man should be. But we forget that society is comprised of individuals. Society is not this thing. Society is made up of you. Society is made up of me. Society is made up of your mother. So society is made up of your father. Society is made up of the birds, the bees, the trees. That is what society is. The cumulative opinions of individuals. So if you can comprehend that the way an individual sees themselves, they will project it out into the world. Now, do you understand what society is? Society is just simply the inner projections of individuals. And if the inner projection of an individual is, oh my God, I can't. My life sucks. If that is the inner projection of most of society, you want to be listening to society? I think not. Surely I think not. Self-love is the ability to look yourself in the eyes. Yeah, you look in your mirror and you look yourself in the eyes. Who do I want to become? I know what society says, but if you go back to the Bible story, why the Bible story? Because it's a story. And if you can hear what the story is saying and apply it, Jesus asked Peter, eh, hey, Peter, nice day we're having. I was wondering, what do people say about me, Peter? Peter said, well, some say you are the Messiah. Some say you are the prophet Elijah returned. Oh, some even go so far, sir, as to say you are John the Baptist, a great prophet returned. That's what people say about you. And Jesus looked Peter square in his face and said, well, Peter, darling, that's nice. That's all fine and dandy, but who do you say that I am? If you listen to that story, it is showing you something very poignant. It is showing you that Jesus asked, what does the world think of me? And then he says, what do you? He narrowed it down from the world's opinion to one opinion, the opinion of the self. It is impossible to please society because society, as we know, is comprised of individuals. Why is it impossible to please society? Because society is fickle. One day they're in this mood, the next day they are in that mood. There is no constant with society, per se. It changes too much, too rapidly. Listen, bell bottoms were out. Shoot, bell bottoms are back. Platform shoes were out. Platform shoes are in. It's like we can't bloody well make up our minds on what we think is fashionable. We even go so far as to say, well, Beyonce don't look good in those jeans, but the little Sweeney chick does. That's only because I read it somewhere on Twitter. See how fickle we are? We don't know who looks good in jeans or not. The point is, when you turn around and look at your butt in the mirror as you wear your jeans, is that booty popping? As the young people would say. If your butt looks good to you in your jeans, then that is the opinion that matters. So that when you put your shoes on, whether they be sneakers, flats, Mary Janes, a heeled pump, when you put those shoes on and you turn around in the mirror and you say, oh, hello, but look at all of that goodness. How do you feel about you? There's a sense of what? Appreciation of how you look in your own eyes. So when you walk outside and you step or you swagger, depending, you're walking with the attitude of, I look good to me. I feel good about myself. So then what happens? From that standpoint, from that mental mood, you have a smile on your face. Because as within, so without. You have a smile on your face. Your shoulders are up, your head is up, your eyes are forward. There's a calmness about you. Because it emanates from within you. It is not emanating from the opinions of 8 billion people. I can't even say 8 billion people because that's not marketing. The people who do the marketing towards the masses are not 8 billion. They are a few. Let me put it to you this way. You've heard the term resting bitch face, yes? Why do you think people say that? You see, we do not see that the mental mood that is invisible shows up on your face, which is visible. You ever seen somebody with that groove in between their eyebrows? Mm-hmm. Yep. Or they have lines on their forehead because they're always, you raise the eyebrows and you're constantly thinking. You're constantly in a state of agitation. So you've got the lines on the forehead, the groove between the eyebrows. Because that mental attitude, or if you're frowning, for somebody to even say, oh my God, you look, oh my. As we say in Barbados, your face is set up like rain. When you see the clouds and they're dark and angry looking, right? That's how you can say that about someone. They look that way. They look a little angry, like the angry clouds. You see, as within, so without is that simple. But because we do not see the corresponding actions, we think that what we feel on the inside does not show up on the outside. And I am telling you, if you look in the mirror long enough, you will see it. But what do? We go get Botox. Because we don't want those there lines. We want to smooth those lines out. If you want to smooth those lines out, you need to become calm on the inside. The difference now when you apply the Botox, you don't see the lines anymore. You don't see the lines where they used to be anymore. But that doesn't mean you're now calmer on the inside, because the lines on the outside is the evidence of the mental attitude on the inside. None of us want to age. We don't want to age, but we don't understand that the way we speak to ourselves will either speed up the aging process or slow it down. All of that has to do with self-love. The way you feel about yourself. The way you feel about yourself is the way you will act towards yourself. This is why eating disorders abound so much. Because they have heard so many things from society that when they look in the mirror, they have a distorted view. They're no longer seeing themselves through their eyes. They're seeing themselves through the eyes of society. And because they're seeing themselves through the eyes of society, it breeds inadequacy. So what do? We speak to ourselves in a poor fashion, making us act out in such a way. And the first thing we do is we call it a mental illness. No, it is not an illness. It is a view. It is a mental perspective. And always, if you look at the action, you will see what the inner conversation is. Look at the actions that you perform on a daily basis, and you will know if you're walking these streets from a place of self-love or a place of self-judgment. Is it making more sense on how one applies self-love? Because self-love right now is just hearsay. It's just a word. I trust that it makes sense to you and to how you can apply it. We act according to feeling. Feeling is what moves us. So whatever you are moved to do, however you are moved to act, is the feeling you have on the inside. So look at it. If you get up in the morning and you're dragging yourself through the day because you're exhausted, you're worn out, you are fighting the view of society against your view of yourself. That is the fastest way to drive yourself to insanity. Remember that society is the collective voice of individuals. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You cannot live your life listening to the voices of society. They are too many. And they are overwhelming because Betty Sue says, oh, do this and he'll love you. George says, no, I'm a man. I know what love is. You do it this way. Then somebody comes along, a preacher comes along and says, oh, in the name of Jesus, if you don't do it this way, you're going to burn in the depths of hell. You know what that does to you, who's hearing it? It is upsetting. It makes one feel crazy. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Some say I should do this, some say I should do this. And all the while, your true self is saying to you, but I love to dance. I love to crochet. I love to bake. I love to cook. I love to sing. But society says I can't do any of those things. But those are the things that make me happy. Because we have forgotten what society is. Society is the collective opinions of individuals. And you will never be able to please individuals because each individual has their own mood. And you don't know what it is. But you know your own mood. And that is where one starts, always from within. The moment you begin to know yourself and listen to your still small voice, how do you recognize your still small voice? Well, two instances, only two. And I know that we have all experienced it. How can I speak for all of us? Here's how. If you have ever said, oh my God, I am so glad I listened to that thing. I heard to go right and I went right and whew, look at how that turned out. Or Man, I should have gone right. I know I heard to go right, but I was like, man, no, I'm gonna go left. Oh, now look what happened. I should have listened. Every single one of us has experienced those two things in our lives at some point. If you go back to the incident, whether you listened or did not listen, if you go back to that incident, you will know exactly what your still small voice sounds like. Not only will you know what it sounds like, you will know what the confirmation of it feels like. So, if you search yourself, search myself? You mean rummage through my pockets? I don't even have pockets, Angela. I don't even wear a bra. I haven't stuffed anything in my bra. What do you mean search myself? Go back to the incident. Either or of them, where you did what you heard and it worked out, or you did not listen to what you heard and you bore the consequences. Because even if you look at both of those things, you will still recognize the still small voice. That is how you search yourself, by going back to the original incident. And when you say to yourself, wait, you know what? I did listen. And look at how it turned out. Well, I felt like so peaceful when I heard it. I did. Well, I want to feel that again. And you do the same thing. You look for it again, which means you're listening. You are listening to your inner self. Why? Because as you begin to listen to the inner self, you begin to trust that still small voice. And when you trust that still small voice, the act of trusting oneself, the act of trusting oneself is to love oneself. Well, how's that? If you say, well, I can't trust him, or I can't trust her, if you can't trust them, if you cannot act upon, if you cannot act upon the love, then it isn't. Because trust brings comfort, trust brings peace of mind. So to apply self-love on a daily basis requires an action. We do not have to force the action. The action emerges on its own. Just like if you plant the seed, you don't have to force the seed to grow. Love is a seed, and it bears fruit. It bears the fruit of patience. Think about it. You have a child and you're teaching them something. You get mad and beat them? Uh-uh. Well, they never learn that way, do they? They learn to fear you, though. And then you can't teach them anything because they're afraid of you. So patience is required. What is patience? Taking your time as you do something. That is patience. So what are you doing? You're learning. Take your time to learn. If you do not understand what you've just learned, you go back to the beginning and you say, okay, can you say it to me again in a different way, perhaps? I didn't understand that. As opposed to, oh my God, you're so dumb. What's wrong with you? Like everybody seems to be getting it. What's wrong with you? That is not patience. You block yourself from learning. Why? Because you're telling yourself that you're stupid. And what is the action of stupidity? Not learning. So if you are eager to learn, excited to learn, well, you'll be patient because you will know that learning is practice. Learning is practice. So I'm going to practice till I get it. I'm patient with myself. Well, I've never done this thing before. So I got to take my time. And I always, some people say, oh, you talk about your son so much. I marvel at him because you did not see his lack of confidence. Let me tell you, when I saw it, I felt like a failure. Why? Because I had society in the back of my mind telling me that as a single mother, I can't raise a man. I had society telling me a woman can't raise a man. Well, here's a news flash that I discovered. I don't raise a man. So long as he's born male, the inevitable outcome of male is from boy to man. So long as he stays alive, he will become a man, physiologically. That has nothing to do with me. He will become a man as long as he stays alive. That is not a man. To say I can't raise one, that's like saying I can't raise guavas. If I plant a guava tree, well, apples are not going to grow from it. It doesn't matter how much I train that guava tree, cut it, prune it, tie it back. It can only become a guava tree. But the fruit of that tree will depend upon how I feed the tree. And so I used to yell and holler. I still do, don't get me wrong. But I do so less because I understand what patience is. So I taught him the process. I said, you must always wash the meat, pat it dry, and season it, and then decide how long you want to bake it for. And now he does it the same way every time, and his steak comes out the same way every single time. And to see his face light up with confidence, he says, Ma, I still feel weird when I say to myself, I did a good job. He says, I'd rather hear it from you because it doesn't make me feel weird when you say it. I said, no, you have to get used to saying it to yourself. I said, is it weird? I said, did it not turn out beautifully? He goes, yeah, but. I said, what's the but about? I said, did it turn out well? Does it taste good? He goes, yeah, it's awesome. I said, well, then did you not do a good job? He goes, yeah, I did. I said, how do you know you did a good job? He goes, because it turned out the same way. I said, so did you do a good job? He's like, yes, I did do a good job. I said, ugh, don't say it like that. It's not like you're pulling your teeth out. Patience. Patience. Take your time as you learn and apply what you learn. Be gracious because now he says to me, Ma, I met somebody who behaves the way I used to. And I realize that I can't tell them that they're awesome right now because they won't believe me. He goes, but I did figure out that if I encourage them, especially to find what they're good at and what they like, that it's a gradual process that they'll get to this point. He says it's gradual, Mama. Gradual. And here we are trying to rush. And you know why we rush? Because society says, hurry. We have this sport in Canada called curling. It cracks me up to watch it. They're on the ice and they have these giant stones and they have these brooms. And so you slide the stone. It's a very, very heavy stone. And it has a hook on the top of it. And you run up on the ice and you slide on your knee and you let the stone go. And then your teammates, they will sweep in front of the stone. Because when you sweep the ice, I guess you put a groove in it a little bit. You can slow down the stone or speed up the stone. And they yell, sweep, sweep. They yell. It cracks the heck up out of me, I tell you. I said, who thought of this sport? But you know what? That's what society is doing. Society is yelling, hurry, hurry, do this, get this, do that, hurry. And we can't see the destination. You can't see the destination because it is not your destination. And when you cannot see the destination because you have not decided what the destination is, it brings about worry. So stop looking at other people. And we say, well, nobody listens to me. You don't listen to yourself. You're out here in these streets trying to hear what 8 billion people are trying to tell you who to be and how to be. And then you have the audacity to say, nobody listens to me. Because you're not listening to you. You have allowed your own self to be overshadowed by the voices of many. Take your time. What do you think meditation is? Sitting quietly and listening to your own heartbeat, your own breath as you inhale and exhale, listening to your own mood. Listen to that, and you will know yourself, and you'll begin to appreciate who and what you are. And that is the evidence of self-love. Self-love is invisible. People say, well, why would she let her boss treat her like that? Why would she let her kids treat her? She must not love herself. It's not that she doesn't love herself. It's that she's not listening to herself. You see, because we do know what we want, but sometimes we're willing to compromise from a place of fear. Now, if you were listening to yourself, you would recognize when you were walking with fear. And you would catch yourself and say, wait a minute, that's a fear right there. I don't want to walk from fear. What fear am I walking under? The fear of rejection? Ah, no, 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 no. Who's going to reject me? I cannot be rejected. Well, that would mean I'm waiting for someone else to accept me. The only person who can accept me is me. And I project acceptance out into the world. Whew, dodge that one. Mm. Oh, here comes a piece of self-love. That's some self-love for you. But listen, I trust that it makes Flo smiles, rest in bitch. I love it. Rest in, like, rest in bitch face, right? I get it. That's hilarious. And yes, yes, Miss McQueen, when people say focus on yourself, they don't tell you what that means to focus on oneself. And I just told you what it means to focus on oneself is to listen to you instead of comparing your existence to the existence of others. That's what to focus on oneself means. How can you grow and learn when you're busy thinking that you should be ahead just where somebody else is. You've heard the saying, the race is not for the swift, but for the one who endures. What the hell does that even mean? The one who endures? Yes, the one who is patient, the one who is deliberate in their actions. To say, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. I did it my way. You know, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra. It's early, don't come for me. That's my resting singing voice. Tee-hee. So when you focus on yourself, it means it is your opinion that you are seeking. Well, if I do it this way, this is going to happen. That's to focus on yourself, to recognize that it is you who sets the pathway for your life. Focusing on yourself means you observe what your habits are, because your habits, the habits make the man, you know, or the woman. Why is that? Because the thing that you do over and over and over is the thing that you are. And the thing that you are is the thing you live out, and the thing you live out is your destiny. Thereby, you. Well, how do you describe somebody? By what they do. That's how you describe someone. Oh, you know, when somebody gives a eulogy, George was a good man. Meanwhile, somebody in the congregation is saying, "Oh yeah, sure he was. You don't know what George did to me. You don't know what George said to me." Ow. We always describe the actions because the action is the evidence of the mental attitude. So today, my beautiful friends, don't let me natter on. How do you apply self-love? Through action. The moment that you say to yourself, what would I be doing if I were the man or the woman I wanted to be? Do you hear the question? What would I be doing? In order to do, you must be. Oh, Angela, that is so cliche. Well, if you're not kind, you can't act out kindness. You can't do kindness. You have to be kind in order to do kind. Why do you think we say, oh my God, what a jerk? Because he was mean. He was mean, so he did mean things. So when you hear you gotta be rich to be rich, it means one must have security in themselves. Why? Because rich is just money, but what is the action of richness? What is the action of wealth? It is security. You can walk anywhere and do anything. You can pull a Bezos and shut down all of Italy if you want to. See, now we would call that audacity. But that audacity came from the security in his pocketbook. But you see, you and I don't have to be secure in a pocketbook because a pocketbook could be burned up. We are secure in the knowledge that as I become, then I do. And that as I choose to be, that is the action I will do. You see, it is the security in the knowing that what you plant, you will reap. That is the security because you know it doesn't matter what you reap. What matters is you are going to plant, thus you will reap. That is the security that we hold fast to because it does not waver. It cannot be washed away in a tsunami. It can't be burned up in a forest fire. It can't be eaten by locusts. So, your ability to change from what you presently are by deciding what you want to become, you decide what you want to become based upon the actions you want to do. So, if you want to become a particular thing, I want to be bold, but then you got to do bold. What is bold? Well, bold is confident. So, how does one become confident? Practice confidence. What does confidence looks like? I can walk with my shoulders upright and back. I can look anybody in the eye. I can speak. Listen, you've ever been to Toastmasters? You might not know what Toastmasters is. It's a club to learn how to speak in public. What do you think they do when they go there? Practice speaking in public. What, you thought it was something else? They want to be confident in speaking in public. So what do? Practice speaking in public. So what do you want to do? That is self love in action. Doing and becoming what you say you want to be. It has nothing to do with a soft life. A soft life is based on material things. Material things are the expression of internal. Listen, I'm not going to holler at anybody's child today. I'm done hollering at people today. So when you go out in this world today, when you make your way out in this world, perhaps you're already in it. You know, you're up and about. Instead of asking yourself how you want to be treated, my grandfather said, behave the way you want to be treated. You see, we look too much outside of ourselves for the approval of others. The only approval that matters. See, you hold self approval. Approve your own self. When you approve yourself, what are you holding within you? Approval. And as within, what? So without. If you judge yourself because nobody wants to be my friend, nobody cares about me, I'll be lonely forever. If that is the attitude you are walking with and living with, what must your fruit be? Loneliness. You can't be walking around singing, oh, I'm so lonely, don't have nobody. You walk around singing that. This is why Mahalia Jackson never sang the blues. She said, I don't have them. Every time I turn on a country song, somebody's telling me they can't make it through the day without a drink. What? I need something you prove, something stronger than I'm used to. Oh, listen, I'm not saying he don't have mad skills as a songwriter. He does. But look at where he's writing from. Every single one of his songs. And I like him as an artist. I do, because he's got a nice voice. But I always ask myself, every single song I listen to, I'm like, dude, you chasing women away. I think he's married though. I'm like, what are you singing though? What are you singing? And that's sometimes what we do. We feel sad, so we turn on a sad song, thereby increasing the sadness that we feel, thereby feeling worse. Stop it. You want self love? Look in the mirror Oh, but Angela, there's nothing beautiful about me. Again, that comes from 8 billion voices in society telling you what beauty is. They're only telling you what they perceive beauty to be. Listen, my gap is 5 millimeters wide. Oh, yes, it is. And I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. But that's my smile. It's mine. And every time I turn around, somebody's got this Hollywood smile, a whole row of glistening white teeth. And I'm like, dude, shit only gets that white when you bleach it, thereby weakening the enamel, making yourself susceptible to what now? Cavities. And what happens? You gonna have to go get porcelain put in. Oh, that's okay. I'll keep my gap. I'm good. I'll keep them. I don't need those problems because we're chasing a mirage of perfection, when in actuality, you are perfection itself. How are you perfection itself? You exist. You exist. That is what makes you perfect. You exist. Do you not know that you are the thought of someone? Oh, oh. As within, so without. Well, we are without, are we not? We're on the outside. So, uh, where are we within? Oh, we don't stop to think about that, but we stop to think about, is this person going to like me? If you turn your eyes inward to appreciate what and who you are now holding appreciation in your bosom. And because you are holding appreciation in your bosom, as within, so without. Not only will you appreciate yourself, but because you are moving and walking and talking from a place of appreciation, you appreciate others, thereby they appreciate you. You reap what you have sown. I know I say bosom all the time. I'm not talking about bosom as in, breasts. I'm talking the chest, where your heart is. Hmm? So today, my beautiful friends, if you celebrate yourself, celebrate myself. Yes. Sprinkle, sprinkle some confetti as you walk. Shoot, you can sprinkle some rose petals as you walk. Metaphorically speaking, because who wants to clean it up, right? Which means, how am I going to talk to myself today? Catch yourself as you speak to yourself. When you go through this day, how many times did you tell yourself, "Ugh, you can't do that? It's going to take too long. You don't have the resources. You don't. You don't." How many times did you say that to yourself? Pay attention and see how much time you say it to yourself, and then you will understand why your day went the way it did. And then pretend you're at Toastmasters. What do they do at Toastmasters? Learn how to speak in public, learn how to act with confidence. So practice speaking to yourself in a way that does what? Edifies, that raises yourself up instead of beating yourself down. And when you look out into the world of relationships, you will not be saying crazy things. There aren't any good men in the world. There's no good women in the world. You will not be saying that. Kevin Samuels spoke to this world from a place of hurt. Go back and listen to any one of his videos, and you will understand he spoke from a place of hurt. And we got a whole generation of people living from that place of hurt and wondering why they're single, wondering why they're lonely. Take your time and recognize that as you are within, that is what you project on the outside. And we keep saying, don't project your stuff on me. But we're deaf. Because how can you say don't project your stuff on me and then not understand that everything emerges from within the self? But you see what we do? And I'm a land here. What we do is judge the experience we're having. We say, but why would they treat me this way? Why would my mother treat me this way? Why would my man treat me? Why would my woman treat me this way? But they must not love me. And we begin to take that on and see ourselves as some kind of a failure, somehow wanting or lacking. That is the wrong perspective. You don't see yourself as lacking. If you see yourself as lacking and you start judging yourself, well, maybe I wasn't good enough. Now, what do you start to do? Well, I wasn't good enough. So, what do you start to do now? Think about that. You walk around telling yourself, well, maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. What do? You start making compromises to please someone else. Underneath the clever disguise of what? Bettering yourself. But in actuality, you are judging yourself, trying to please someone else. Look at where it's coming from. But what did I do wrong? I gotta try harder. All the while trying from a place of where? Not being good enough. How will you ever get good enough if you plant not good enough? You know what? I'm done. I'm done hollering at you guys this morning. I got one phone about to die. I trust that today, God help us all. YouTube is telling me I spoke for an hour and 2 minutes and 9, 10. Oh my God. I'm done. Who's here? K-Frame says I'm late as hell, but I'm here. Ow. K-Frame. I see you, baby. Beloved love troll, I see you here in these Twitter streets. Ow. It's good to see you. Fan base. Flo Smiles is here. Ray Ray, Moon, Dolphin Duck, Miss McQueen, and my sweet KZ. You guys are here. Well, look, we know Lil Bit's here, and Lady and Biscuit are here too. So today, this may not have been what you signed up for, to hear about self-love. But I'm trying to show you. The power is in you. Just pay attention to what you're doing. And you'll see it for yourself without judgment. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I love you. Look for the evidence of it, and you'll see it. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy the beautiful day, because it is. And listen to your own still small voice. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Fanbase, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Much, 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 much love to you all.